proses is veel nie klaar nie. So kom jy mos stadig by die dinge aan.
Make two things and let the people's movement plan and do their own work. And you as an NGO support them. I was so relieved.
Dr. Anna Miller, Riley Castor, Edith Banga, and Heinrich Amschella are four social impact champions connected to an incredible story about the power of the people. In their own ways, unique perspective and lived experiences, they have shaped and are part of a housing solution that stood the test of time but promises massive interventions regarding the housing crisis in Namibia. Since 1989, a people-led movement, initially dubbed as Samstan or Build Together Project, began making silent inroads towards helping Namibia achieve the impossible.
My name is Amushila Heinrich. I work for Namibia Housing Action Group since 1993, 1st July. The informal settlements, lately we have seen the informal settlements growing in our country, mostly in the major towns such as Windhoek, Okahanja, Tsumeb, Wolfish Bay, Swakop, Ochivarongo, Hobabes, Mariental, Keetmanshoop, Luderet, and Oranjemund as well. This is because people cannot afford and will need the system does not match the demand. So that's why people resort to putting up shacks and form informal settlement. Through that, the Federation has been addressing it by mobilizing communities, working in partnership with local authorities and government through community-driven upgrading. That has really helped. The first of its kind, Hobabes Freedom Square, giving titles to more than 1,000 households.
Riley Castor affirms this impact as a beneficiary of this housing program, the Shack Dwellers Federation, which operates under the National Housing Action Group.
Ek is oorspronklik van Rehoboth en ek het net kom werk soek hier in Windhoek en terwyl ek by my suster bly, toe kon ons nie mekaar verstaan nie, want ek het ook kinders gehad. En op die manier het ek maar besluit ek sal maar pondokkie opsit daar waar nou kwasa is. En so het ek daar 'n pondokkie opgesit en daar gebly. Terwyl ons daar bly, maar my suster was alreeds lid van die spaarskema van United People. En terwyl ons daar bly, het ek nou maar eendag besluit ek sal maar ook begin spaar. Maar in die tyd, dit was in Juni maand, was daar 'n house modeling in die area by United People en People Force nog. Tussen die daar is 'n opplek wat nou kwasa groot gebou is. Toe was daar 'n house modeling, toe het ons nog maar, toe het die mense daar gemobiliseer en dan het ek nog maar die skema mooi verstaan. Eindelijk het ek nog maar die tyd 98 Juni maand met die house modeling het ons nou die mobilisasie gekry. Wat ons nog maar gepasseer het, ons sal aansluit as members en blou boekies gekoop.
She has been a member for 26 years and secured a home through the organization. Had it not been for its establishment and outreach, she would have been among the country's 74% who cannot afford housing. This is because Namibia has a housing problem, one that remained a serious challenge for government 34 years into independence. The Minister of Housing, Urban and Rural Development, Erastus Etoni, acknowledged the daunting challenge government is tasked with.
The Ministry of Urban and Rural Development, just to give a background, it's mandated to deliver land and housing to our citizenry. And it's not an easy task.
Since colonial interruption of indigenous development and introduction of slave labor conditions, urban housing has been an increased threat to social securities and effective livelihoods in most parts of the country. However, the situation significantly intensified after independence. Director of the National Housing Action Group, Dr. Anna Miller, who is an architect by profession, had a front row view of how this unfolded.
I think you have to look at it in the context of a lot of things, because at that stage there was still, I wouldn't say there was control, but the urbanization was much less. It's not the urbanization we experienced post-independence. And it has to do, it is actually a very interesting question you're asking. I never really think about it, but what I experience now for myself was that since independence, of course, the urbanization increased dramatically.
Corroborating Castoor's reasons for leaving her small town, civil society leader Uhuru Dimper says people are forced by lack of service delivery in their communities and end up squatting in cities in search of better opportunities. This is another factor that has exacerbated circumstances.
There are a number of factors why Namibia has such a worsening housing shortage. First, it's a colonial legacy. The colonial authorities didn't really invest a lot in terms of housing and shelter for Namibians. There's also been a lot of displacement of people. People have been moved from old locations to sort of corners in different locations throughout the country. But the problem worsened with independence, where there was now free movement of people, and people, because of a lack of development in the rural areas, flocked to urban areas, and almost all the major towns have what is now called informal settlements, or the squatter camps, as some people call it. So there are a number of factors.
The country's urban centers such as Walvis Bay, Okahanya, Gobabis, Marienthal and Windhoek have been experiencing a high influx of rural immigrants, which has led to significant pressure for those various town councils struggling to deliver housing to existing inhabitants. For the national facilitator of the Shack Dwellers Federation of Namibia, Edith Banga, the story has more to do with the dignity of owning a house that accommodates the size of a family.
I joined the network because of the problems of accommodation in Windhoek. Though also in Windhoek, in Rundu, I was also staying in the shack. So in Windhoek, I was renting a room, 3 by 3 square meter house, with a family of 8 kids, my husband as well. So it was difficult for me to pay rent because I was working as a domestic worker 2 days a week, and I was only 120 that time. There was not dollars before independence of this country. So we started that time, joined the movement.
The movement has since gone on to advance a compelling Namibian story about indigenous problem solving to national and global contemporary issues. This because a premise existed justifying the need for a people-centered intervention.
The communities save for their own needs. They use their own resources in order to contribute to housing, and also to servicing of land. To service land, 300 square meter, it costs per household, it costs about between 7,000 and 8,000, which is very, very cheap. If it was done by a private developer, it would amount to thousands of dollars, probably 30,000, 40,000 to service land. So that contribute to government objectives of achieving affordable land and housing.
Government has introduced some measures, including policy directives, to arrest the growing urban housing crisis. But the state has faced various bottlenecks, such as access to affordable service land and having to compete with uncapped capitalism.
It's a lot of work. That's not only necessarily to build a house, because to build a house requires a number of logistics. You need to plan that piece of land, because you cannot just come there and then you said there's a green field there and then you put up a house. No. First, what you need to do, you have to lay out a plan. You need to survey that area for that place to have a proper survey to determine that this is L number so and this L belongs to Mr. Kasuta, for example. And the pegs that demarcate your area.
The challenge is that the elites have captured the delivery of housing in the urban areas. So municipalities tend to give to housing developers and so on. City of Windhoek has not given any land to the Sheikh Dwellers Federation for more than 10 years. I think it probably goes for 15 years now. So, but there's been a lot of land auctioned and given to housing developers and ordinary people that have organized themselves in groups that are ready. Some of these groups have saved up to millions of Namibian dollars and are ready if they are given land. We in fact even support the suggestion that was made by the high-level panel on the economy that was chaired by Johannes Kabaka, the governor of the Bank of Namibia now, that said that all first-time home owners can actually be given plots free of charge as a way to solve this problem.
The most pungent challenge arises from affordability of conventional housing, with Namibia's poverty rate currently at 43.3%. Coupled with financial constraints for low-income earners, high cost of servicing land, and the increasing commercialization of the mortgage market, barriers owning a house is nearing unsustainable levels. Owing to these variables, the housing backlog currently stands at an approximate 300,000 units. Various mix of solutions have been developed to provide relief in especially densely populated urban areas. The two most prominent of which include state intervention and commercial route involving housing financed through banks. These, however, do not solve the problem of the lowest income households. Early on, it became clear that the housing crisis was not solely government nor private sector. Something would have to be done by the people. This led to the establishment of a unique model that accommodates any pocket under the savings scheme. An initiative, if replicated nationally, could alleviate burdens of the government.
The Sheikh Dwellers Federation's model of people organizing themselves into savings groups and community groups to house themselves has proven to be successful. They have won even awards internationally for this model. The problem has been that government has just admired this, but the investment in this model has not allowed this model to be scaled up to the level of the housing crisis in Namibia.
SEFN is a network of the low-income community that are mobilizing the poor of the poorest around saving to improve their living condition. We are doing using the daily savings, because we started with saving, introduced the savings scheme in the community for them to start putting something aside so that they cannot just wait for the government to provide. So we're meeting the government halfway.
Under their leadership, the organization has grown exponentially, serving needy Namibians in all 14 regions, many of whom are now equipped with servicing their own plots.
The SEFN is operating in all the 14 regions of Namibia, and we already built more than 8,600 houses. At the same time, we also train the members to install services themselves, and also going for the informal settlement upgrading, whereby we did it in Kobabis. The members, they service their land themselves, and they all managed to give land to 1,100 members in Kobabis. The same we did in Karibik, in the location, and then they managed to give 700 people or members in the servicing.
The Federation and its administrative arm, the National Housing Action Group, have not just secured endorsement from the community it serves, it has gained substantial development partners along the way. Among these are commercial enterprises such as cement producer Orongo Cement and Standard Bank Namibia, amongst others. What really catapulted the program's credibility is government endorsing support, which since helped the Federation reach significant milestones.
$6 now, they show their commitment to ensure that they want to deliver houses on a very reasonable price, where majority of citizens can afford. Because many people in Namibia, their level of income, it's a bit low. Therefore, then Sheikh Dollars Federation have identified that group, or the low-income group. That is the ultra low income group of the society, where a person can borrow money, or they can contribute through a program that is established by Sheikh Doras. They contribute, and then thereafter they'll be given a loan by Sheikh Doras, and then they can borrow an amount of 35,000, 39, up to 50,000, or even more than 60,000, is to build houses. So then Minister of Urban and Rural Development analyzes the efforts by Sheikh Dollars. And then we said, I think this is one of the partners that we can maybe put hands together to expedite the process of providing housing to our people. Ministry then decided in its annual budget to contribute little that ministry can share. And that is the decision of government.
The government, through the Ministry of Urban and Rural Development, to date they have provided the Federation with more than 111.8 million that has constructed over 3,500 houses countrywide, and this is done through the annual allocation. Like this year, government is allocating 10 million to the Federation, which will construct 236 houses. We have also partners such as FNB, Orongo, and the Papkevits Foundation that has been contributing to the Federation through the annual grants. To date, these three partners have contributed over 24 million to build more than 400 houses. We have also another partner, Standard Bank, through the Buy a Brick initiative. They have contributed more than 27 million, which has constructed over 700 houses countrywide, and we are happy that all this contribution has really helped the poor of the poor to own houses, and this is very important. And we are continuing to mobilize more resources from government, from private sector, and individuals. There has also been individuals who have contributed also to build a house per year or so, and we are grateful for that gesture.
Minister Utoni says the initial investment towards SDFN-led housing intervention proved most responsive towards population growth because the SDFN model demonstrated, in spite of working with a smaller amount compared to private developers, outmatched expectations by delivering more homes than most private builders combined.
Right now, we have built almost 350 houses yearly with the small resources that we got it from the government and in private sectors.
Firstly, what we did, we started contributing them with a 1 million those years back. And then we realized the population is growing, and the demand is very high as well. Then we started to increase that contribution budget to 5 million. Now, as we are speaking, we are standing at an amount of 10 million.
The SDFN and NHAG also has a unique vantage point. They have built an incredible relationship with various local authorities countrywide. These relationships have been mutually beneficial as both parties are engrossed with arresting the plight of homeless Namibians across the country.
For the local authorities, it's important that they add value to the people's processes, that whenever people are organizing themselves to build houses or to service land, that municipality add value to that process by encouraging the community to form saving groups and to be champions of their own development, and also to provide affordable land to the poor. There has been local authorities that has really appreciate this process by providing building sand to the poor, to the poor in order to build those houses. And also there has also been local authorities, whenever the members are servicing the land themselves, they have come out to meet them halfway by providing machineries to excavate trenches, and the members would then buy the pipes and service the land.
Having become a reliable relief platform that not only helps the poor Namibians access housing, but also offering financial literacy skills and other skills in construction, the SDFN has made groundbreaking investments in human development. Among these milestones are its endurance, its credibility, its service to all Namibians, and above all, that it has, in spite of its size, become the biggest agency of housing delivery.
It's very difficult to focus on just a few highlights of this community movement, but the fact that it still exists, and it exists after many, many years, it exists in limited financing, it's sustainable. I think that is one of the first achievements. It's still present in all urban areas, and it is reaching all the regions. It's active in all the regions. That is a big achievement in itself. Communities are still prepared to put in their own resources, to put in their own efforts to build their houses. We have become, in that process, we enabled the communities to become the largest housing providing agency in the country. No one agency have delivered so many houses in the past 5 years than the Shack Dwellers Federation of Namibia. I think a big achievement is that we have engaged in informal settlement upgrading, that we are active in 23 towns, and that we have shown that that the communities working in partnership with the local authorities can produce affordable housing opportunities for big numbers of people. As I mentioned earlier, scalable, it's one of the largest movements in the world if you compare proportions. I think that's a big achievement. All these partnerships, the 23 partnerships in the local authorities that we are working together, is significant. I don't think that happens elsewhere in Africa or anywhere else. I haven't heard of that before, that scale has reached. And this is a small country. If we have a very simple thing together, we can do it. And I think we have got the model, we have got the practice, we have got the pilot studies, we've got the experience. Will the future generation walk into this, or will we revert back to what Americans like? Our suburbs out there with 300 square meters, or will we take the challenge of working together to create our own urban areas that respond to everybody's need and to be inclusive, to leave nobody out. Come back to our previous president's R&B plan and philosophy. Let's achieve that. Let's leave nobody out.
The biggest milestone, however, cannot only be spoken, but left to those whose dignities have been restored through the SDFN's Enduring Social Impact Program.
Hierdie skema het regtig mens lewe verbeter. Soos dat in die begin sê, dis net nie vir die mens of behuising nie. Dat leer jou om jou lewenstandaard te verbeter. Volgens die skema het klompie aktiwiteite waaraan jy deelneem. So my lewe wat voorheen was van nou is heel verander. Ek kan met praat sê ek is 'n mens wat nie kan bekostig om vandag onder 'n dak te sit met 1700 se salaris nie. Maar vandag met 1700 kan ek sê ek het 'n 3-slaapkamerhuis en ek is onder 'n dak met my familie.
While facing many challenges that came through various policy shifts and ever-rising demand for housing, the SDFN and its board, the NHAG, continue to champion uplifting Namibians from despair of homelessness and in so doing building strong foundations for the sustainable future of Namibia, one brick at a time.